straight talk from our perspective. This is ManCave Live with your host, Lexington Steele, and co-host, Andre Lavelle, and Johnny Depp on LA Talk Radio. Let's get it in.
Good evening, people. It is February 19, 2015. I'm sitting here with Johnny Depp. What's going on, JD?
What's happening, man? What's going on with you?
You know what I'm saying? It's a wonderful Thursday night here in southern sunny California.
Yes, sir.
And there's a number of things that are happening out there in the big blue sea and the God's green earth. We're going to touch on a few of them tonight, although we do want to say that as we move through the month of February, which is indeed Black History Month,
right?
We do celebrate the history of the African American in the United States of America, but there's many things that are shaping the direction of the culture collectively. We want to participate in that by being out front of it,
right?
Discussing it, and then seeing if we can affect some change, if only by conjecture,
right?
But people, we anxiously await the arrival of Andre Lavelle, who is caught in Los Angeles traffic.
That's LA, man.
You know, he's making his way into, so we will
part of the culture.
We'll look for his arrival shortly. So,
yep.
Where do we start? I mean,
hey, you can just roll the dice, man, and wherever it hits, man, it's all good because there's a lot of tasty issues out there.
Well, first and foremost, as always, you appear courtesy of
Formula R3, which is a all-natural sexual enhancement for men. You go out there and pick it up, get that boost, and she'll love you in the morning.
Well, now your product is actually now entering into stores nationwide as well.
Well, not nationwide. It's in a few cities. It's in one store in New Orleans, another store out here in L.A., as a matter of fact, in the Valley, Ventura Boulevard, Excitement, Video. Stop by there and pick it up. And also we'll be selling it in Washington, D.C., so we're moving methodically.
Yeah. Now, of course, online. I mean, they can just go to the .com.
Always online. You can go to the .com and boom, we'll get you tight. We'll tighten you up. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, all right. Last week there was some news last week, a week and a half ago, there was some news regarding the Little League World Series that is annually held in the summer months in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Right.
As a matter of fact, decades ago, your main man Lex Steele was. I played in Williamsport.
Okay.
I played Little League baseball back in the day.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? And
we all got our little league on at one point.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But it's a forgotten thing. It's like, quite honestly, it does seem like it's a sport that is becoming less and less. There's fewer and fewer young black kids playing Little League ball, which made this particular team, the Jackie Robinson West team out of Chicago, a very, very special group of young gentlemen.
Exactly.
Problem is, as these young fellows went on to win the World Series, the Little League World Series, it turns out that their team was populated with no less than 3 individuals that lived outside the geographical area
outside the
that the team
jurisdiction
is to be comprised by.
Right.
They were stripped of their title and all their victories as an all-star.
Now, how many kids you say that were out of the jurisdiction?
There were no less than 3.
Wow.
There were no less than 3, and the problem is, if you look at all-star teams that are comprised with the youth teams in whatever sport, they are not always from the immediate town.
Exactly.
Whereas,
that's been happening throughout. That's been happening throughout decades.
And that's the way. And it's like, I'm from Morristown, New Jersey, so our league, you had to make the all-star team within the town league.
Exactly.
Then the district all-star team had to make that was comprised of people that were all-stars from the local teams.
Right.
And then the district becomes a regional.
Exactly.
And then the regional is what goes on to compete at the highest level of the World Series championship. Just so it turns out that all the while, there were kids that, and here's a problem. So
the Chicago team pretty much is like, okay, you started at the local level, then you moved to regional. So all these kids moved through those different levels.
Kept making the All-Star teams all the way up.
Okay, so this is like the supreme team after.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you. So naturally, there's going to be kids from all over the city.
Yeah.
That's
but the powers that be within Little League had investigated the Jackie Robinson team at least once or twice prior to the start of the series, and at some point, and evidently they're very stringent on time in terms of the providing of information about the geographical location of where the kids live.
Okay.
So going up the totem pole at least once or twice, Little League overlooked the fact that they had. It's been suggested that the Little League was aware that team was comprised of kids their constituents were out. Some of them were outside of.
Okay, so if they were aware, why didn't they stop it earlier?
Exactly.
Why wait till they win the thing entirely and then strip them?
Well, someone said that, the management of Little League at the higher levels, really saw something special in this team being a collection of young black brothers from that area.
Okay.
And the fact that Little League is not something you're seeing a lot of black kids in anyhow. So it's like, hey, this is almost like a Cinderella story that could unfold before our very eyes.
Well, you know what's so crazy? Like, I remember as a youth coming up, I mean, baseball was pretty popular.
Right.
I think it's losing steam amongst African Americans,
Yeah.
And maybe it's because, and I think we had discussed this before previously on another show that we were doing about maybe it's economics, because in baseball, I mean, that's not a cheap sport.
No.
Okay, you got to get the glove, you got to get the cleat, you got to pay for the uniform and things and so forth and so on.
You got glove,
bat, the bat, all of that.
Now helmets. Now
Yeah.
when we were coming up, seems the bats, the helmets, the balls, all that was provided.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying?
There it is.
Your cleats, even the hat was provided.
Well, I think for the most part, you had to buy your own cleats and your glove.
Your own cleats and your glove. That was all you needed.
But other than that, the uniform was provided because I think a lot of times, Little League teams were being sponsored by corporations or companies.
The local company,
right?
mom
Local
and pop
company,
shop,
right?
yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I don't know, if it's the same thing that's going on nowadays. Like, are these teams sponsored by anyone? I mean, I'm sure they are.
Well, I think most of them are. I don't think that has changed. But
that hasn't changed.
It's
okay.
It seems that if you look at and people feel free to reach us at 818-570-5085 to participate in tonight's conversation.
Please jump in.
It seems that a number of the teams, while sponsored, it does require extra efforts by the parents. Whereas as these kids go from traveling team, which is a word synonymous with All-Star,
exactly.
when you get into the travel teams sect, if you will, your games are no longer around in the neighborhood. You're traveling an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? It becomes costly. And
transportation. There it is.
And also, I would also offer that if you look at the increased importance and prominence of the AAU leagues, you have now at the youth level, maybe maybe at the 6, 7, 8-year-old level, these kids can now enter into an AAU program for basketball now, as opposed to just going to the park.
See,
or the YMCA.
It's crazy that you touched on that because when you think of most young black kids coming up in the inner city or even the suburbs, they're looking at playing basketball.
Right.
Why? Because you have these prominent stars such as LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Chris Paul, and Blake Griffin, all
Russell Westbrook,
Kevin Durant. So these guys, you can see them. And it's kind of like, and they aspire to be them.
Yeah.
So my question would be, who are like the all-star baseball players that young African Americans will look up to? Derek Jeter. Well, he's retired, but you know what I'm saying. So like most kids, if you ask them, they'll be like, "Oh, I want to be LeBron, or I want to be like Kobe."
Yeah.
A baseball player, like, and I'm sure they're out there because I really don't. I don't follow the game like I used to. For one thing, it's too many games, man. 163 games.
Yeah.
That's a lot of games,
Yeah.
man, to follow. That's one thing. But I'm getting off track. But I don't think there's a prominent figure in baseball that young black kids would aspire to be. Because remember when we were coming up, there was Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson, Dave Winfield, Ozzie Smith. Literally at every
Ricky
position.
Henderson.
Ricky Henderson. Oh, my God. At every position, you could name a major superstar that we aspire to emulate.
There you go. Now.
But it's interesting. I think with AAU basketball, with the popularity of
Very popular.
NFL, with football,
another.
and then the popularity of youth football leagues having steadily increased. You have an interest that is pressing towards basketball and football, but baseball it's almost like if you look at the lack of ethnic participation in sports like hockey, or even golf or tennis. Now there's a number of things that point to economics, as to why
golf is expensive. I look, I got a few clubs.
Yep.
And this is just on a lower level. I ain't even talking like prime time clubs. That costs money.
Yeah.
And then you go to the driving range, and then you go to the course. I mean, it's a wonderful sport to learn and to play because it's very relaxing and it's very challenging.
Right, obsessive as well too.
Right. Yeah, you can't. Michael Jordan, he had to play his 18 holes. He's just obsessed with it. Because it becomes very competitive because it's a solo sport. It's just you and you in the nature. It's you in the greenery.
Right.
But that costs money. And
Tee times and so forth.
Yeah, that costs money. And even like with tennis, that costs money because, a lot of times tennis is not one of those sports you just pick up and just become good.
Right. You need to, and the trainer.
There you go.
Most people to ascend. You can't, like with the hoops, with basketball, you can go get a ball.
Some cats are just natural.
It's just natural. You already have your sneakers on anyway.
Right, exactly.
You get a ball, and one ball can service up to 10 people.
There it is.
So you all can play up to 10 people with one ball.
With one ball.
See what I'm saying? You don't need the training because there's going to be someone playing right next to you can emulate. Sports like your golf or your tennis, you actually have to have specific instructions.
Yes, sir.
And that is expensive. Now, conversely, if you look at a sport like hockey, which is the same athletic or same level in athletic necessity, whereas hockey players are, in my opinion, are equally as athletic as football and basketball players.
Look, I'm sure they are, and I would not argue that point because here's the thing. Yo, dude, for you to skate,
right, man.
First of all, you gotta learn how to skate.
Yeah,
let's start there. It's not like, okay, I'm just gonna get on the golf, I'm just gonna get on the hockey ice
and go do it.
No.
Yeah.
First of all, you gotta learn how to skate. And not only that, once you learn how to skate, then you have to skate and move the stick simultaneously to hit this puck, and this puck is moving at a crazy amount of speed.
Right.
So that right there in itself, like,
you know what? Honestly, it's not only learning to skate, but then it's learning to skate for hockey purposes.
Okay, it's not like you're skating on the regular.
Oh my God! If you look at these guys, and first of all, another thing too, the people that ascend to the professional ranks of the NHL or the Russian league, or the Swedish league, these are big men. They're not baseball player sized dudes.
Right.
They're NFL sized players. Maybe not as tall.
Right.
But you're looking. Most of these guys are going 6'1", 6'2", 6 all the way up to 6'8". So you're learning to skate, and then you're learning to skate for hockey purposes, which is hockey is really a thrill to enjoy. But at the youth level,
I never understood. You know what it is? I've gone to a few, and this is going to sound crazy. So you hockey fans out there, don't throw any pucks at me. I'm about to say, I've attended a hockey game, and I was actually upset. And I'm gonna tell you why I was upset because I didn't see a fight. I went to see a fight because that's what hockey as.
It's almost like going to see a NASCAR race.
You want to see a crash?
Pileup.
It's fucked up.
Yeah,
that's crazy thinking. But once you learn the rules, they say it's exciting.
Oh, hockey is easily one of the most exciting sports as you can see live, and even on television.
Yeah,
but in terms of the youth leagues, what makes it so exclusionary is once again the economics.
Yeah,
you
money,
know what I'm
man.
saying?
I mean, I can imagine what.
Well, it's not going to be difficult to find a rink in anywhere USA. Right,
Okay.
a hockey rink, even in Arizona, even or Florida, you can find an ice rink. But the skates are no less than 200 pounds, $200, 200.
Wow. You got to buy a stick. You got to buy
stick is going to run you, at least run you 150, perhaps more.
Right.
But then you have to buy your pads, and if you ever seen a hockey player without his the hockey shirt, sweater as they're called, without his hockey sweater on or his shorts, these guys, I mean, literally like the Michelin Man.
Wow.
And all
They're
that
really
equipment.
muscular. Yeah,
No. I mean, in terms of the amount of padding
the
that
pad.
they required.
Oh, I can.
Yeah. So think about
More
it.
than football?
Yeah. Because
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
It's more expensive than football, and there are more pieces of equipment that are rudimentary. Whereas in football, I mean, nowadays you're seeing certainly in the skill positions, you're seeing guys that have literally almost no pads in their pants.
Yeah, like a lot of receivers.
A lot of receivers and
right.
D-backs.
Right, exactly.
Even linebackers are not even wearing knee pads.
Right.
So, and if your wideouts and your D-backs aren't even wearing thigh pads anymore.
I wonder why that is, because you think it slows them down?
They think if it's slow, you got to figure if it's slow, if it impedes your speed. Because I remember
that's true.
There's foot speed as measured in the 40-yard dash, but then what they'll tell you at that level is equally important, if not more so, is field speed, which is
totally
when
different.
you have all your gear
all
on.
your gear on, yeah.
And they say, he's a burner in the 40-yard dash, but what can he do with the gear on? And that's what distinguishes such athletes as your Barry Sanders or your Deion or your Deion Sanders, the guys that maintained that 4.0 speed with full padding on.
God.
You know what I'm saying? If you look at
Chris Johnson,
Michael Vick,
yeah.
He maintained his foot speed with full equipment on.
Yeah, but he shortened his career by taking that pounding, man, coming out of that pocket. I mean, and we knew he was a mobile quarterback. But I'm like, when you got more yards than your running back.
Oh yeah, but that was out of necessity.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
But look what he had to. But see, they didn't surround him with the right pieces, man. It kind of like, I know I'm going off track, but that's pretty much, I think that really messed him up because he really never had the necessary pieces, and he got a gun on him too. He can throw it.
He's one of the best arms ever.
Exactly, but
yeah. But I wanted to get back to the Jackie Robinson team. Many people, what's happened is the team was stripped of their World Little League World Series title, and at first, initially, they were blaming the parents, and certainly enough, I think the onus belongs squarely on the parents.
Yeah, because the kids are just playing baseball.
But you know what happened in media? A lot of these people out there started to weigh in on the children from the standpoint that at 11 or 12 years old, you're very cognizant. You know what's up. Now, not for nothing, I mean, at 12, 11, 12 years old, I would know what was up too. Like, yo, homeboy over there is not from this town. Well,
I'm saying you would, but after a while, you would blow it off. Like, what? Come on, man. We're just playing baseball because we're kids.
If he shows up next week,
and
the week after,
who
we're
cares?
wearing the same hat.
Actually, that's how I would play it.
Right.
I mean, because if I knew this dude was like, okay, like, well, wait a minute, he ain't from around the way,
Yeah.
I know him from another neighborhood. Like, what's he doing on the team? Well, maybe he was just. It is an all-star team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's not just a regular team from your neighborhood. It's an all-star team. So it's comprised of people from different
reasons,
parts.
Different
right.
areas.
So why trip?
Well, now let me ask you this then: do you think, being that the logic behind how this can happen, is it possible that the reaction has anything to do with the Jackie Robinson team being comprised of 100% of black kids?
Let me ask you this, and I'll answer a question with a question. Has this ever happened before?
Not to my knowledge, where no team has been stripped of their World Series title. It seems that I'm sorry, I'm remiss to have not mentioned this. The Jackie Robinson team beat a team 48-3 if I'm correct.
48.
48
Wait a minute, this is
3.
baseball. We're
This
not
is Little League
talking
baseball.
Are you serious?
48-3.
That's a mercy rule, dude.
Right,
They should've-
you would think the 10-run rule
Yeah,
should have been
exactly.
applied. You know, and
They ran a Boston on them.
And first of all, secondly, rather, there's only 6 innings in a Little League game.
Stop it.
So you got to
How
figure.
you put up 48 points in 6 innings?
I mean, on average,
Is that
8
lot?
run-
Is that possible? I mean,
Well-
apparently it is, but do the math on that.
I mean, 8 runs an inning.
That's a lot of runs.
I mean, wait, it's funny. Remember I'm going to go back way on
Right.
this, people. Follow me here. Remember way back, there was a Bugs Bunny episode where they were playing baseball, and they ended up doing the cha-cha around the bases because everybody kept
I remember that. I remember that episode. That's when the ball was screaming coming through the.
Yeah.
I remember
and
that.
they kept doing
right.
the cha-cha
exactly.
around. It must have been like that, right? So the coach of the team that lost 48-3 was the whistleblower. Now, not for nothing, sour grapes, perhaps.
Hello.
You
Sour grapes makes wine, and I don't mean the type you drink. I mean the type that you're crying about. Stop whining.
Yeah.
You got beat.
Yeah.
And you gonna blow the whistle?
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: had that been another team?
It might have been forgotten or smoothed over. See, the reason
And
why
I don't want to play. You know me. You know my saying, Lex. I hate to play the race card,
Yeah.
but I'm throwing it on the table.
it could be it could be.
And because it for a lot of reasons, and I'm gonna say this because I may step on a lot of toes. A lot of times when we use that, it's race. A lot of times it sounds like a cop out. But when it's just like in your face,
yeah.
that's why I asked the question, like, well, has it happened before? Like, why now? And not only that, you knew way before. If you knew way
Little
before,
League
why didn't
was
you
aware.
just
Yeah.
say, hey, look, guys,
These
you
two cats can't play.
there you
These three
go.
can't play.
But
Hey.
you gonna wait until they win the championship and just be like, that's just like walking up to them and like, you know what? I'm gonna take that NBA trophy back because you.
Or like if someone, it can almost be equated to if someone decides that Deflategate had a demonstrative impact
Touche.
on the team that the Patriots were playing, whether it was the Colts or what have you.
Well,
And
I think the Colts got their ass beat, but anyway.
either way, right?
Right,
But it's
right.
just the notion that someone to
course.
say, hey, they should not have won the conference championship to go to the Super Bowl because
Correct.
of the deflated balls.
Correct.
And therefore their championship is nullified. That, of course, would not happen. In this case, with the Jackie Robinson West squad, part of the problem was that they considered the teams that were not given the opportunity to progress in the tournament because they were beaten by them. And what about the kids that lost to the squad that had? But wait a minute, you know what? I stand corrected. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was a team of Latina origin, and they had a pitcher that I believe was 14 years old, pitching with 12-year-olds from a Little League mound.
I think I remember
right?
that. Right.
And as we transition from 13-year-olds to 14-year-olds, you get into Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
And Babe Ruth ball you're pitching from the same distance that the major leagues are pitching from.
That's a long way.
See what I'm saying? So
Right.
the arm strength,
Exactly.
as you move from 12 to 13 to 14, is enough. It's graduated enough that you can pitch the extra distance, which is 60 feet 6 inches.
Right.
Big difference when you're 14 and you're still pitching from, I believe it's 48-6 or something is Little League distance.
Okay.
So there has been instances where the teams have been stripped.
Okay.
Now they didn't win the whole championship, but they were stripped of their victories.
They were stripped of their
Yeah.
victories.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. You said it was an all Latino team.
It was
And I-
it was Latinos. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and still brown people. But anyway. Interesting. Just interesting. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. IJS.
Yeah, it's something. The reason why it's important to note because there are kids involved,
Right.
And as we evaluate sport, there's always something that there's supposed to be a clarity to sports. Certainly enough when it concerns youth
Right.
athletics.
And that right there is a display of bad sportsmanship on the guy who blew the whistle. Just because you got beat 48-6.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, kids stayed home.
Yeah, come on, man.
Kids got
Made the best team win.
Yeah, but I don't know. For me, for my whole life, I was an all-star on soccer teams. I was a goalkeeper by trade, so I'm familiar with the way those things worked. I'm trying to think. Would I feel? Let me put it like this: would I complain to my parents if there was a goalkeeper from maybe 2 towns over that wasn't supposed to be on our team but took my spot? As a youth, I don't think I would have complained about his geographic origin. I just said, I would have been like, damn, dude's
good.
good. Yeah, like dude's pretty good.
Exactly, man. What else can you say?
And hey, we all gonna win that. We're all gonna hoist that trophy if we win.
Of course, because it's a team effort.
It's a team effort. So I don't know. Perhaps the parents should have been reprimanded. I don't know that stripping the children does anything. It certainly doesn't return any victories to the kids who lost. So the kids that were beaten by Jackie Robinson, they're not like, hey, they didn't earn a victory. They're still in the same boat that they were. So
nobody got the trophy.
No, it's now been vacated because I don't even think that they bestowed the championship upon the losing team.
That's what I'm saying. It's just out there.
It's just vacated, almost like Reggie Bush's Heisman and USC's record for that season.
Man,
it's vacated.
I guess the thing that really upsets me is that you waited all that time, and then you waited for them to win the whole thing. Like, you know what? It's kind of like it's like the carrot thing. You teased them, like, okay, now we'll take that back.
We'll see. Because I know Major League Baseball has been making efforts to increase the interest of the ethnic athlete, in not only in our urban areas, urban centers in the United States, but perhaps regionally, breadbasket, Bible Belt, what have you, far west. I don't necessarily think it's going to catch on, whatever efforts they're making, because the motivation to become a ball player that is basketball or football is just far too great for the black athlete.
There you go. It is.
That's
so true. Because they even trying to, we thought it was going to change when Tiger came in. He blew up on the golf scene. It's going to be, there's going to be more black kids playing golf.
Never happened. Let's talk about that. People, interesting enough, I know that they were anticipating that there would be a big rush of ethnic participation on the links. Never happened. And let me ask you this, JD. Do you think that despite the efforts of Nike and their promotional campaigns were phenomenal, he made a lot of money for them.
Yes, he did.
Won a lot of tournament titles. I believe 13 at last count. I might stand corrected whether it's 12 or 13 for Tiger.
Right.
Do you think that it was all well and good in terms of the ethnic community, and by definition the black community, and let's make no mistake, we were rallying behind Tiger, but subsequent to his assertion that he was other than African American, certainly enough, his mother is of Asian descent.
Yeah, Thai.
She's Thai.
Yeah.
And no problem there. We make no aspersions as to, denigrations as to that. But when he said that he was, I can't even pronounce it, Cabla-Canadian or something, he made up.
He made up a word.
Yeah. Did you think that he lost, a community that was that would rally behind him and maybe follow in his footsteps? I think he alienated a community with that.
You know what he did, because at first when Tiger first jumped on the scene, it was like, oh, okay, because I remember Martin had made a joke on one of his episodes. And he was like, "Oh yeah, we dominating everything." He said, "But we hadn't gotten into golf yet." He said, "Oh, we're dominating." He said, "Oh, the brothers dominate everything, boxing." And one dude was like, "Oh, but not golf." He said, "Well, give us time." And along comes Tiger, and Tiger blows everybody off the course. Now, as an African American male looking at that, I was like, "Oh, okay." Because there were others before him.
Oh, Lee Elder.
Right, Calvin Pete.
Yeah.
Right. But they didn't make the impact that he made. And not for nothing, man. Tiger was groomed.
Yeah.
He was groomed ever since he was a little kid. I don't know if you saw that episode when I don't know what talk show that was, late night show he was on. His father had brought him on, and he was like maybe
oh, he was Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson,
the phenomenon, this phenomenon kid.
There you go.
He was
like 3 or 4.
He was like, he was about 4. He was
4 years old.
He was
crazy.
Couldn't have been taller than the table.
Right.
The golf club looked as tall as him. I remember that.
Right.
Right.
Groomed from that age all the way up.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to throw something out here that many people may raise an eyebrow to. Certainly enough, our co-host Andre Lavelle, who's not in here today, would certainly have a lot to say about this statement.
Oh yeah,
but
Dre,
it has been stipulated or has been asserted for years that the death of Tiger's father essentially spelled the end of his career as a top golfing athlete. Now, in my research as of late, it's been I researched and found out that Tiger's father, who was a Green Beret, Special Forces Green Beret, war fighter in the Vietnam War.
That's where he met. Is that where he met his mother, or was he meet his mother in the States?
I don't, that I don't know.
Okay. This, because
given the proximity of Thailand to Vietnam,
there you
right?
go. Exactly.
But one of the things that I don't want to disrespect the dead, making no mistake. Tiger's father was a proponent of mind control in terms of a number of the programs that were going on in the military, programs that were canceled, the programs that went dark or went behind the cloak, if you will. One of those things had been mind control of soldiers, so they would be able to go in, do certain missions, and then be free of the memory of having done such, if it included atrocities or what have you. It has been asserted that Tiger's father exercised those mind control training techniques on Tiger at a very young age, and that Tiger would undergo before we would have these tournaments, that him and his father would have sit downs in which he would be, if for lack of a better term, programmed prior to.
Listen, you know what? And I'm gonna add on because I walk with you on a lot of issues when it comes to that, But some people you'll go over their head with them. But I'm gonna add to this. Do you ever, if you look at Tiger on the golf course, I don't think there was any other athlete so keenly focused. Like, it was like laser, dude.
Right.
Like you said, he was like almost like you could see it in his face, like he was programmed, like a robot, like, and he was on point. Like Jordan had that laser.
Yeah.
But Tiger, man, once Tiger locked in.
Yeah. And
that was it,
that was
man.
the thing of that is, like, if you're programmed from a very young age and you're skillful, I mean, he's got the skills, the requisite physicality. If you, of course, include elements of mind control that will allow you to gain a level of hyper focus. Now with the loss of his father, we've seen a virtual, maybe not a literal fall off. I mean, obviously he's been through a lot of things, but it's interesting how things changed subsequent to his father's departure.
Well, that's when he started having trouble. He started having marital issues with the wife, and the wife tried to run over him with a truck, all kind of stuff. Yeah. And then he started getting a lot of injuries. You noticed that
he started losing his coaches.
Right.
He was no longer vibing with the people that he paid.
It's kind of like
coach his golf
coaches.
It's
kind of like Tyson with Customato.
An unraveling, if you will.
Because there are certain people that, like, well, let's take for instance, Mike Tyson and Customato. You know the story,
right?
Nobody can control Mike Tyson but Customato,
right?
He's the only one that Mike Tyson really respected. And what happened when Cuss died? Yeah. Like a ball of yarn, just came apart.
And then, man. But luckily with Tiger, by way of comparison with Tyson, Tyson had a number of people. Obviously, once you bring in a Don King into any scenario, it becomes
another animal. Yeah.
It becomes scrupulous at best. But with Tiger and what we thought was going to happen with his inclusion in a sport that had been exclusionary, we didn't see that happen. I think that there was...
Well, wasn't he the first one to get to wear the green jacket?
He was the first winner of the Masters.
There it is.
Right? He was
the first black person to win the Masters.
Right. Which was a huge deal.
Big
Huge
deal. He got
deal.
the green jacket
Yeah.
on. That's when they made the joke about, oh yeah, fried chicken.
They're going
and
to serve right because the winner of the Masters gets to
Yes.
decide what dinner is served. Yeah. Lee
That's when they
Trevino
there you go.
made that comment.
They start taking shots at him. And
But let's not take anything away from Tiger in terms of what he's had to deal
he's
with.
great,
I
man.
can't speak on it. He's done very well. I'm just simply saying that in terms of the reception he may have gotten when he goes to these environments that are the golf courses and
He's
country
a
clubs.
god.
Nationwide. He's a god, but he's probably he's probably taken a few lumps.
of course,
Of
course. I mean, because as you know, Lex, the what do they call it? The journeyman, the pioneer. He's always going to take the lumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, by comparison, once again, tennis with the ascension of the Williams sisters,
Training.
Venus and Serena.
Training at a very young age.
Yeah,
Where they started when they were like what, 7 or 8.
yeah. So it does prove that
Right.
whatever sports that are out there, if one wants to get involved in, they can. And even the ones that are exclusionary. I mean, a lot of people will say, look, I mean, there's a lack of white running backs or white players in the skilled positions.
You know what that is?
And that's changing as well. I
That's
think.
genetics, because they did a study about because they was talking about I think it was the Nigerians. They're better long distance runners than anyone else in the world because of. It's something about their lung capacity. It was something about their physical makeup.
Well,
As opposed to an East African, I think the guy like a person from Tanzania, who are better sprinters.
Okay. There's a book called Sports Gene that I have, and what that stipulates is that Tanzania being northern Africa, right? Now Nigeria.
I thought that's East Africa. I thought
No,
like Somalia.
Tanzania would be on right around like I believe it's either east or west of Egypt.
Okay.
So from Tanzania, what you're going to see would be your, if I'm correct, I might not be, but almost like an Arabic type of where like you and I will be more like central, sub-Saharan.
Right.
And
West Africa is
certainly
our
not West side
features,
where guys
definitely.
like us are coming.
Right. There you go.
Now, the Eastern African, in terms of whether you're Ethiopian,
that's what it was.
or
Somalian.
Somalian.
Yeah, there you go.
What Sports Gene, what they point out is that genetically and this is over hundreds of years, not hundreds of years of study, but hundreds of years of body genetically, the physicality.
So evolution.
Their ability to run long distances at maximum speed had been honed by two physiological reasons. First, the areas in which they were situated, whether it was their village or what have you, lack of a better way to put, their space, the water that was necessary for life may have been a number of miles of distance from where they were situated.
Wow.
So what you would have is very small migrations to get water and back to where everybody was situated. So what you would have is the ability to arrive at where the water is in a very short time by running, and then being able to get that water back to where you're situated in the same short of time, covering distance.
So over time, so it wasn't a very long distance.
It was just a matter of being able to sustain
that speed.
At speed over distance, and that distance becomes, whether it was 6 miles or 10 miles, if you extrapolate, you're still running faster than someone once you get into the 26-mile mark, and that gives the physiological rudiments as to why Eastern Africans are superior long-distance runners.
Oh, they're long distance.
It's
Okay, I thought it was West African.
No, West
okay.
Africans are the dominates in the sprinting.
There it is. Okay, I had it backwards.
Right.
Okay, I had it backwards.
Right, the strength of the fast twitch muscle in the West African by comparison to the fast twitch muscle of the East African.
Got you.
Now, the East African has developed longer fast twitch muscles,
right?
Where the Western African has developed shorter fast twitch muscles, which allow for more explosive
running. Exactly.
More explosive running. What you're seeing is, and there's factual rudiments to why black men jump higher, and it's not all these things. These stereotypes are not steeped in mythology. Some of them are steeped in science. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you look at the foot of the West African, okay, is comparatively flat. I don't know about you, but I have zero. I was a high jumper, all-American high jumper out of high school. My feet are virtually flat. Most, do you have an arch in your foot? Is it a pronounced arch?
Slight. No, I have a slight arch, but not a pronounced.
Not a pronounced arch.
Not right.
So what's happening is people of our physiological origins are placing more pressure per square inch on their plant foot. Now that flat foot allows you to put more pressure, exerting more pressure, and of course. The reaction of energies that's why you're seeing jump higher because you're placing more pressure per square inch on the ground and your lift off. Couple that with explosive short fast switch muscles gives you more lift, whether vertical or horizontal.
So it's science.
So there's science behind it. Now this is not to say that there are not physiological reasons as to why other athletes may swim better. One can beg the question: are there buoyancy, comparative buoyancy discretions between the African American and perhaps the European American?
Yeah, because you don't see a lot of African swimmers.
You don't see a lot of black swimmers. And not even from black countries.
Crazy.
I mean, if you look at why, in countries as large as Nigeria or the Congo, countries in Africa, why are they producing swimmers? I mean,
that's crazy. You don't really see swimmers out of that.
No. And it's hard to,
you see runners and jumpers and wow.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's your genetic makeup, man.
Yeah. And here's another thing too, and I don't know whether this is a drugstore science or not, but it has been suggested that there is a comparative weakness in the ankle joint of the the black American of African descent. That there's a comparative weakness in the ankle joint compared to a European or a white American of European descent.
You know what?
Wait, let me finish. Which would allude to the inability to stand fitfully upright on skates. And that they say that is the reason why you don't see a lot of blacks that are prominent skaters because of relative weakness in the ankle joints.
Okay.
Now I don't know if this is pop science or not.
I mean,
I'm just
that's a very interesting point because I notice in a lot of basketball players, a lot of their injuries are ankle injuries because
Steph Curry, Kobe rolled his
Derrick Rose,
Derrick Rose last night. Duke's center Okafor rolled his ankle. You know what I'm saying? Now, and the popularity of, if you do look in basketball, there is a dominance of the high top shoe as opposed to the low cut or mid cut shoe. Right. People forget. They see the low cut shoe, they think it's the hot thing. It's the hot thing, but historically, the high top has been what has been necessary.
It's crazy you say that because even when I was playing ball. And I remember I used to see the older guys, and they used to wear like 2 and 3 pair of socks at one time. And you're like, why are you wearing all those socks? Because it was ankle support.
Ankle support.
And plus, and then on top of that, they would have high tops over with the like 2 and 3. Because I found myself wearing like two pair of socks.
I worked too.
Yeah, with the high top sneakers, playing ball because, like you said, you put a lot of strain on your ankles, running and jumping because. Naturally, your body's not designed to do that, to run up and down like that. It becomes strenuous on your joints. Your body is not designed to run into each other at full speed.
Right.
I mean, the human body's not designed to do that, but it's so crazy is that you can train your body to sustain that, the type of impact and all that. But over time, you will suffer.
Yeah.
Which goes back to my point. Your body's not designed to do
that.
that.
And that can lead us swiftly into, and this is on another topic, but since we brought that up about, subsequent to Anderson Silva, one of the world's greatest fighters of UFC.
That's Dre's department.
You're right. He just returned from an injury in which he broke his leg. He subsequently has failed 2 drug tests. Subsequent to that comeback, he on January 9th, he was administered a test. It was out of competition test, and you know, and then he failed again on the 3rd. So it is just the notion that there are certain actions that do stress the body, and you know, and you know, not to get into Anderson Silva in this year, but you are right. There are a number of things that place undue stress on people's bodies, and then their bodies fail.
Because you look at football players, like back in the day, you know, they take a hit and then, you know, they patch them up and put them right back in there. Nowadays, you know, the science is a lot better as far as, like, you know, treating injuries. But still, to a degree, they still patch them up. And put him
rolling right back out.
Rolling right back out, man. It's kind of like, you know, that owner's he's like, hey, look, I'm gonna get my money's worth.
Yeah.
You know.
but let me ask you then though, do you think that there anything wrong in an owner expecting his athletes to be out on the field? You know.
Well, you know what? As an owner, you know, like yourself, you know, think about it. It's an investment, you know. It's kind of like this. We used to say in the airline industry, if a plane, as long as the plane is on the ground, can't make any money.
Yeah. If you're on the sideline or in the dugout,
right? You know, and you're my star player.
Yeah.
I'm not getting my full investment.
Right. The return of the
you know, and that's why I was saying with Derrick Rose, a great ball player, and maybe, you know, he plays so hard, man. You know, and maybe, you know, he shortened his career by going so hard early, but that's just the way he plays.
And now, and the thing too is, it seems like he has been faulted, not only by media but by fans. Because I have a problem with the fact that they are coming down on a man that realizes that, hey, I know my body isn't right. I need the time to get my body right. I'm not ducking my responsibilities. I just need to get right. And I think that Derrick Rose, you know, I think they're almost saying that he's regressed this year. And what I find a problem with is that a regression, or is it just a redefining of who he is as a point guard? Is it regressive if instead of driving the lane recklessly like he always has, come on, at 6 foot, 6'1", you know what I'm saying? You're going up against an Andrew Bogut at 7 foot. You're going up against a DeAndre Jordan at 7 foot, jumping 45 inches. You're gonna take a hit or two.
You know what? And at that point, and like I said, I think I made this argument before with Michael Jordan, you know, like as he got older, his game changed.
Right.
Now, the person I was talking to was like, no, his game didn't change. I said, his game did change because he even said, as I got older, he said, I couldn't drive the lane and try to go dunk on everybody, which I found out they had a report on dunking. Is really, really bad for your knees. That's why you see the Stoudemire's and now you got Carmelo Anthony has gone down.
Dunking is like how?
Yeah, I mean dunking, trying to dunk all the time is bad on your knees because it's so much pressure on your knees.
On liftoff or on return?
Yeah, liftoff and probably return. I mean, you're going hard like that. You're 6'5", 6'6", and you're jumping like that. That like you said, that pressure.
Right.
You know, and not only that, you have to land.
Yeah.
So that's a little side note. But as for Derrick Rose, I mean, no, back to Michael Jordan. My point is like over time he started taking more jump shots.
Yeah.
His jump shot became a lot. Not to say that he couldn't shoot a jump shot, but his jump shot became more pure as he got older.
But it was always there. I think he reverted to it. Or
because he's always trying. He was young, and he was like, "Oh, he's Air Jordan." Yeah. That's how he got his name, dunking over people.
But you know, if you look at what he did wearing the number 45 for the Washington Wizards, when he
by that time he was done, man.
But one of the things I like about what he did at that stage in his career. He's always been a very slight individual, but still very strong.
Yeah.
He put on extra pounds of weight,
right,
and give himself a little bit more mass, and then he began posting up two guards. Now, Michael Jordan at 6'6", carrying a little bit more weight, can post up
Right.
was able to post up other 2 guards on the post.
So
And
you
then
saying
back to the basket? a
Yeah.
little
So
bit.
you saying as he got older, he started playing down. He started playing in the post a lot more as opposed to taking jump shot.
No. I mean, we saw his jump shot as well. I'm saying he also
okay.
he also added that to his repertoire.
Okay, I got you. Instead of trying
because-
to dunk on, there you go.
You know,
man.
I mean-
that'll wear you out, man.
Well, they say that Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah, I mean now look at Stoudemire. He's out of New York.
You know what I'm saying? They gave him a lot of money.
Do you think he was worth that?
No, because when
I
he
don't
got
either.
that second big contract, I think he already had the microfracture surgery.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, wow, dude.
Now, where's he go? Where did he go?
He's going to Dallas. I think Dallas. Yeah.
And not for nothing, but we also have seen, as we wrap up tonight, we also have seen Kevin Garnett returning
going
to
back.
Minnesota.
Now let me ask you this before we, as an owner, and how would you feel about the Amari Stoudemire situation as an owner after you put all this money, no championship brought,
I honestly now Dallas would pick up the remainder of his contract.
I suppose so.
I would think good riddance for
He's gonna take the L.
I like Amari. I've
I
always
do
loved
too,
his
but
game. But it's just a case where I don't think that that the Knicks got.
They didn't get
They're
it
just
because
returns on it.
Amari was Amari when he was in Phoenix.
Yeah.
When he came
Yeah.
to New York, I don't know what happened, man. I don't know if he fell apart or he got
Well,
sucked up in the New York life.
New York
man.
is so self-destructive. I mean, they trading away Tyson Chandler, and he's an all-star playing up all-star levels this year. J.R. Smith, they jettisoned
Yeah,
J.R.
man.
Smith,
And
now
Shumpert.
Carmelo. Shumpert gone, and now
Carmelo's gone
is
for the
gone
year.
for the rest of the year. So
And played in the All-Star game for 30 minutes.
yeah, yeah.
What was that about?
I don't know. But people, we have missed Andre this evening, but he will be back next week, I'm sure. JD, before we get out of here, where can people continue to follow you as always?
You can follow me on Twitter, Johnny Depp, Facebook, Johnny Depp, and FormulaR3.com. I'm endorsing that product. And by the way, I won't be here next week to be with you because I'm going off on a little rendezvous.
Nice.
But I'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be back to join the party. We going for long. I'll be back, though.
Well, that's
No
what's
doubt.
up. People, this is Lex Steele. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We do realize that there are a number of options that you may have, but we do thank you for joining us and spending your hour with us here on the Man Cave. We are on LA Talk Radio every Thursday night from 7 to 8 p.m. as well. You can catch me Monday nights on Lex Steele Live from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you very much. I'm your man, Lex Steele, at LexSteele11 and Lexington.Steele on Instagram. We'll see you next week. This is the Man Cave.
Later.
Straight talk from our perspective. This is Man Cave Live with your host Lexington Steele and co-host Andre Lavelle and Johnny Depp on LA Talk Radio. Let's get it in.